Anyways, Jeff the Killer. Let's jump into this. Creepypasta OG number 2. Jeff the Killer is among one of the most well-known characters from the creepypasta fandom. While Slenderman is more recognized as a horror character, Jeff the Killer was supposedly published in 2011. Oh, well, it told us right there. I didn't even have to go looking through that whole fucking list. I probably should have read this first. And tells the story of Jeffrey Woods. Jeff moved into a new town. We don't need to hear that because I'm going to give you the original story. While the most popular creepypasta, Jeff the Killer is regarded as a fairly awful creepypasta in terms of literature. The story is not realistic enough to be frightening, there is little to no suspense to the story, and most of the characters' objectives aren't very clear. That's like the least of that story's worries. That story reads like it was written by a 15-year-old. It was not Jeff the Killer's literary prowess that got him to the level of fame that he is at now, but rather young teen girls' attraction to the fictional character. That's funny to say. And then, of course, the image, too. This is the original creepy Jeff the Killer image that inspired numerous recreations of this image. But yeah, that's a pretty freaky image right there, right? That was attached to the original story, and that's really what made it blow up, man. People saw that picture and were like, what the fuck? And that's what that, and apparently, yeah, young girls who thought this guy, Jeff, my man Jeff here, was hot. So, you can be a deformed man with lobster claws. There's still hope for you. You heard me correctly, although it may not be too surprising to you. Jeff the Killer has an insurmountable amount of fangirls who wish to go out with the character and even be like the character. The reason why I believe this is that the character's sad and dark past make him attractive. They see the character as a sad and broken teen who they couldn't fix, a bad boy, if you will. Oh, be quiet. You had a crush on him, cutie pie? First iDubbbz, and now Jeff the Killer. You certainly had a taste. I don't know. I would believe this. You are the girl that said, oh, yeah, iDubbbz used to be hot, so... iDubbbz and Jeff the Killer do have similarities, gotta say. Yeah, you had a type for sure. That's funny. Okay, anyways. So yeah, Jeff was the bad boy you couldn't fix. Now, I mean absolutely no harm to those who simply like the character romantically. As he is a fictional character, you can make him into anything you want him to be. However, there will always be a slight few who take it a little too far. Yeah, well, that happens, but... yeah, so Jeff the Killer, he just pulling in the ladies, How can you not with that charming, eyelidless smile, right? Ladies just go for that. Okay, so here's the original Jeff the Killer story right here. It is kind of a long one, though. Shit. Wow. Okay, I don't remember it being this long. It's really fun to laugh at, so I'll give you the intro to it. We'll read a couple paragraphs deep so we can have a good laugh at the writing prowess of whatever teenager wrote this, and then I'll make sure I link the story in the description of the YouTube video so you can read the rest of it yourself. So it starts, excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained, by the way, I just want to say, does that sound like something, a headline from a newspaper? The ominous unknown killer is still at large. They would call a killer ominous. Anyways, after weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, again, the killer is still on the rise. Anyways, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. And they don't put the name of the boy. Again, for the purpose of a creepypasta, that's important because you don't want people to be able to actually look these people up and find out they're not true. But this is supposed to be an excerpt from a newspaper again, right? No newspaper says the boy. They give you a name, right? I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. And because this is how young boys talk, right? I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. There's redundancy right there, a pair of two eyes. Theoretically, that means that there was four eyes staring at you because it's a pair of two instead of just a pair of eyes. But again, like we said, this is kind of the charm of Jeff the Killer. Like, it's clearly written by somebody who does not write, and it's fun. It kind of makes it a little entertaining. These weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were bordered in black. Bordered instead of outlined. Bordered in black. And just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. I jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, tried to knock him off of me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police, right? Because the man knew that the neighbor alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking as I came out of my room. I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face, those cold, evil eyes, and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. The police are still on the lookout for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in the story, please contact your local police department, right? So anybody with dark, ominous, evil eyes, and what did he say about the smile? A smile that just plain out terrifies you. A long, horrendous smile. So if anybody fits that description, call the police on him. So anyways, as you can see, we got comments here. I had to put on some funky beats, says this man. A pair of two eyes. Exactly, Cutie Pie. If you see anybody that has a pair of two eyes, contact the police. Right? Like if I see Jeff, I will scream and hug him. 3 replies here. Same. I'll be like, you're stuck with me, says Danielle. So Danielle's a little Jeff freak right there. She likes his pair of two eyes. She sees Jeff the Killer. She will hug him and say, "You're stuck with me." Oh, that's funny. Let's see. What were some of the comments up here? My dad busted. Same after reading this fire tale. See, that's the kind of good shit you can expect from the internet, right? That right there makes the case for unmoderate the internet. What was the comment up here? I didn't know this was still on Wattpad. Oh, this is on Wattpad. I didn't even realize this. Oh, shit. Well, there you go. You can go to Wattpad and read all kinds of different stories. I don't understand either of those two comments. Yeah, that makes it even funnier that you can, that people can comment on this. Ooh, 30 comments over here. This woman says, I want to kill him with hearts in her eyes. This guy says, fuck Randy. Let me kill him before Jeff does because he knows I will. Wow, okay. I bet that bitch is noob on Left 4 Dead. Hey, Ruby Brooks, 98. I am good. How are you doing? Thanks for popping into the stream.